finally, on the fourth attempt, my team has finally beaten Newcastle United. And massive respect to you, Newcastle fans. I appreciate you guys. And I'm going to look at this game from your point of view, to be honest, because obviously my team, massive for us, massive 3 points. It means we can sit with popcorn in our hands looking at that Champions League battle on the final day. But the result doesn't really reflect the game, in my opinion. A game of two halves, definitely. That first half, oh my word, Newcastle United played out of their skin. It was incredible. David Raya kept us in it. He kept us in it. I'm sorry to say it. If David Raya didn't have the performance of his life in that first half, Newcastle United should have been 3-4-0 up. And I'll happily say that. I'll be humble. I'm not going to say, have that, Newcastle fans. I'm seeing a lot of beef between Arsenal and Newcastle fans on social media saying we won a trophy. Second place means nothing. I'm not about that. I'm just going to put my hands up and say that game was a game of two halves. The first half, you guys were incredible. David Raya made some insane saves. On another day, you guys head into halftime 3-4-0 up. But obviously, you've got to take your chances. And I mean, if you're looking at these raw stats here, the XG, I think this is one of the 3 times this season where a team has actually beaten us on XG. I know a lot of you guys will say XG is useless, it doesn't matter, but it does show you the quality of chances that Newcastle had. 1.85 to 0.80. Absolutely incredible performance in that first half. And I'll be honest, I'll talk about this in more depth a bit later. Anyone else other than Callum Wilson up top for today for Newcastle, and you would have won 3-0 in the first half. If Isak was up front today, that would have been a bloodbath for us. I really do not want to think about what sort of score that would have been. Even Osula coming on, he looked way more bright. But my word, crucial for us. But Newcastle United, I think you deserved at least a point. And, when I say a game of two halves, a game where everyone deserves something on it on the basis of the whole game. It was just, that last 5 minutes, I had my heart in my mouth. I know there's nothing for us to really play for, but I just really wanted to go into the next weekend, the last weekend of the season, with our feet up and just enjoying the performance. And obviously that is what has happened. But I want to talk about Newcastle United, obviously, more in detail. And I'm going to be honest, your guys' depth, it is not good enough. And I'm sure you guys know about it, though. And I'm seeing Newcastle fans on social media saying, third in league with this squad, depth is absolutely absurd. Yeah, when you guys look to the bench, bringing on Emil Kraft, Lewis Miley and Will Osula. No disrespect, by the way, to Will Osula and Lewis Miley. 2 very young players who I think are going to have very big futures for the club. But Emil Kraft coming on for a player of Botman's quality, who was very, very good again today. It just goes to show. And Eddie Howe did come out to say this will be the first summer where PSR will not have a massive impact. And I think that's absolutely crucial. I feel like PSR has had a massive impact on the way Newcastle United have brought players in. Finally, they'll be able to just splash the cash, get good depth players in, get players who can improve the starting 11. And it's going to be a very, very scary sight. I feel like you should look at this game and say, okay, we've come to Arsenal, the second best team in the league, based on the Premier League table. We've given them a proper game. If we had XYZ in this position, XYZ in this position, we would have been able to win that game comfortably. We would have put the game to bed. Even if we had Isak fit, that would have been enough for us to put the game to bed and win it. You need to have a long-term lens rather than short-term lens. Obviously, a point or 3 points would have been perfect. You wouldn't have to really be stressing going into the final game of the season. But it was a very, very good performance from you guys in the first half. And I want to have a conversation about this guy, Anthony Gordon, and let me know down below, because I've seen so much hate from Newcastle fans towards Anthony Gordon everywhere. Here's one Newcastle fan who I follow. He says, I can't describe that fume and frustration I have towards that Anthony Gordon performance. Pisses me off even more. Always Barnes that has to come on to the right to make way for him. And of course, a very angry way to end it. And if you ask me, I'm kind of surprised, because Anthony Gordon felt threatening. He was putting himself in those positions to receive the ball. Yes, he hasn't been at his best this season, but every time Gordon got onto the ball, there was this feeling inside me. I was like, ooh, Ben White's already not the best 1v1 defender. Gordon's really electric. He's top. He's absolutely top, and I can get the frustration. Newcastle fans, you've obviously seen a lot more games from him. Harvey Barnes has obviously been excellent whilst Gordon was out. And having to see Barnes go to the other side, maybe Gordon needs to be the guy to go to the other side, because Barnes obviously more effective on that left. But I'm even seeing Newcastle fans saying, sell him. Has it been that bad of a season when you look at how good he was last year and the threat that he can have? Is he really a player you want to get rid of? Like, I'm being genuinely honest. Let me know down below. I don't want to be the sort of guy who is an Arsenal fan coming here and telling you guys how you should feel. But is Anthony Gordon a player you really want to be moving on? because he felt so threatening. He was more threatening than Barnes. Obviously, he was in his wrong position. Murphy obviously was playing wing back, so we didn't see more of his threat, and he struggled 1v1, I think, against Martinelli and Trossard. But Barnes is a player who has so much quality for me, and he even did feel really threatening today. But let me know down below, maybe there's a bigger meaning for Newcastle fans regarding Anthony Gordon. And of course, the discussion that I had to talk about here is the Wilson versus Osula thing. I do not get why Eddie Howe did not play Will Osula today. It really surprised me. Will Osula came on today and he frightened me. I was like, okay, this guy on the ball, 1v1 threat. He can go on his left and cut in, on his right as well. Physical lad. He can run in behind. The profile of Will Osula is very, very good. I can't lie, when I saw Callum Wilson on the team sheet, because I look at the comments, see what you guys are saying, I was happy. I was like, William Saliba is going to have a really, really soft game here. Callum Wilson doesn't have the pace to go in behind. He hasn't got the ability to hold up the ball anymore. He's not threatening with his ball striking. In the box, he was struggling to get with the transition. I was like, this is going to be a decent game. I was like, kind of like, wow, no Isak, no Osula. We got let off here. And the game went on and it showed, and it really showed. And I feel like Newcastle fans are now ready to move on from a player like Callum Wilson, and it just shows the progress of the club, where you can look at Callum Wilson and say, thanks for your service, we need to move on. And Will Osula needs to be having the minutes that Callum Wilson is getting. I'm sorry, next week against Everton, if Isak isn't available, you have to play Will Osula in the centre forward role. He's so much more threatening, so much more quality, and he's raw, young and hungry. Even in the press, he was running. I saw him going at going at Calafiori, going at Kivior, causing problems, making runs across the defenders, put his body about. That's what you want to be seeing. I saw none of that from Callum Wilson. I'm sorry to say it. If you're a fan of him, he's been brilliant for the club. But I'll be honest, Will Osula scared me when he came on more than Callum Wilson did in the 9 position. And obviously, we have to talk about this end to the season. I'm kind of smiling. See my club there, Arsenal, 71 points. No one is going to catch us in second. Yes, obviously disappointing. We want to win the Premier League. But Newcastle United, how are you guys feeling going into the final day of the season? I think you guys will do it. I feel like you'll get the 3 points against Everton. It's probably the team you do not want to be playing, though. Pickford will want to put, the nail in the coffin for Gordon. You're looking at other players in the Everton squad, they're going to be wanting to go into this game and spoil your party. But I feel like the quality you guys have will be enough. And if I'm going to be honest, I don't even see, the other teams I feel like Forest will beat Chelsea and get to 68. I feel like City will get and end the season on 69 or 71 points. So then that leaves Aston Villa. I feel like they will beat Manchester United. I mean, I can't even make predictions right now, but I'm confident Newcastle United, you guys have nothing to worry about, and you'll be Champions League next season. But that's it for now, and until next time, peace.